There are many stories around Chinese New Year, but there is one about a beast named Nian. Long, long ago, the Chinese people thought about the year as a living being, and they gave it the name Nian. But that was also the name of a beast that would come out in winter when it was dark and cold and food was scarce, and this beast had a taste for human flesh. And the people would run away from this monster, hoping not to be eaten by him, and so survive and live another year. Well, long ago, out in the Chinese countryside in a small village, there was a little cottage that sat on the main road. And in front of this cottage sat an old woman wearing a thick padded jacket to keep her warm. And she watched as her son and her daughter-in-law and all the villagers ran up and down the main street shouting, "Hurry, hurry, pack your things, grab the children, we have to run and hide. The Nian is coming, the beast will come and eat us." And the son ran up to his mother, grabbed her by the arm and said, "Mother, come with us, don't be eaten by the monster." And the old woman said, "Son, I've made up my mind. I'm not coming with you. I'm too old, too slow, and I will put you and the grandchildren in danger. So give me a kiss and go." Her son did that and turned and gave her one last look as he joined the rest of the villagers as they ran up the mountain path and then disappeared around a turn. The old woman sat in the sudden silence of the village. A gust of wind blew in from the west, kicking up dust, and she looked at the last house and beyond it, the snow-covered plain, and there she saw a traveler, a lone person walking towards her. Oh, it must be a young person. They're moving so quickly. It's almost as if their feet are gliding along the ground. And that person was carrying a staff, and when he came up to the main street of the village, the old woman blinked her eyes and said, "Oh, that must have been a trick of old age," because she could clearly see this was not a young person. It was actually an old man with long gray hair, long gray mustaches, and a dusty brown traveler's cloak. He came and stood before her looking down with unexpectedly merry eyes and said, "Old mother, what are you doing here all by yourself?" And she said, Everyone has run up to hide in the mountains because, you know, this is the season of the beast. The Nian comes and he takes whatever he can to eat." "But old mother, aren't you afraid?" "No, in fact, I've saved enough for at least one last good meal, some meat dumplings, and may I invite you to share them with me? Come and sit by my fire." And the traveler put out an arm that was surprisingly strong, pulled her up, and they went inside. The traveler pushed his empty plate away, and he said, "You know, I have been many, many places, and I've learned a thing or two about the Nian. So, I know that he is afraid of two things: the color red and loud noises. So tell me, do you have any cloth or anything that is red?" And already the old woman was on her knees, throwing open a wooden chest. "My son just got married last year, and he has red paper and red cloth. Oh yes, here it is. Now, old mother, we need to be able to make some noise." The traveler laid his staff, made of bamboo, on the table. Now, as you see, this is made of bamboo, and you know that bamboo grows in little short sections all the way up to be very tall, and it's hollow inside. Have you got anything like that? Because we can take these small hollow pieces and put a burning coal inside, and when it gets very, very hot, they explode and they go pop, 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 make a lot of noise. But already the old woman was out in her garden with a sharp knife, cutting sections of bamboo, which she brought in and laid out by the fire. The old man said, "We need a little bit more noise, so here, help me. Move this big chopping block table up against the window. Show me, old mother, have you got 2 large chopping knives, those big cleavers that have blades that are square like a piece of paper?" And the old woman laughed. She said, "Every good Chinese kitchen has at least 2 cleavers, and that's what we use to chop up the meat for the meat dumplings." He says, "That's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to take those knives and I want you to go chop, 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 and it will make a loud noise. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 and that will help scare away the beast." And so now the old traveler covered the front door of the cottage with red paper, wrapped himself in long pieces of fluttering red cloth. The old woman prepared the bamboo hollow bits with coals and laid them on the window, and then had her knives ready to work. There was a distant rumbling sound. It drew closer and closer, and then the old woman put her head out the window to peek. There was the Nian at the end of the village, and its head was so large that the woman could only see 3 eyes, a nose like a long horn, and 3 sets of arms as it scrabbled down the street like a big spider. Scariest of all was his big, big mouth full of sharp teeth, and from it dripped blood and slobber. Now the old man had said that he thought the Nian was afraid of the color red because his eyesight was poor. And here the Nian was smelling, sniffing, and he stopped in the direction of the old woman's cottage. He smelled human flesh. And on those 3 sets of legs, he began to come closer to the old woman's cottage. And as the smell increased, he began to run towards the door. And at that moment, the traveler kicked open the bright red door and came screaming out, waving his staff and waving his arms with the long, fluttering red cloth. The Nian screamed, "Ah!" and started to scrabble backwards. But no, the traveler began to chase him, and while he chased him, the old woman tossed out of the window the burning bits of bamboo, and they went pop, 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 pop. The terrified Nian started to run faster and faster. The old woman used her cleavers. Do, 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 rang out the window. And now the Nian, followed by the traveler, ran so fast their feet began to leave the ground. They rose up higher and higher into the air. And the last thing the old woman saw was the Nian disappearing into a cloud, the traveler close behind him, waving his staff, streaming long red fabric, and his laughter shaking the heavens. The next morning, the villagers crept back to the village, and they saw, sitting in front of the cottage, the old woman on her seat, welcoming them back. "Old mother, how did you survive?" And she told them everything that the traveler had taught her. That must have been an immortal God sent down to teach us how to scare away the beast. Old mother, we vow that we will from now on not run away. Instead, we will gather together to our homes and to our families. And together we will stay and fight off that old beast and celebrate and have fun together. So now when we celebrate Chinese New Year today, we eat delicious meat dumplings that we've made with big cleavers that go do 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 do. And we light firecrackers that go pop 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 pop, just like burning bits of bamboo. And we put up on the sides of our doors red paper lucky messages to bring us good luck for the new year. But the most important of all is that we gather together as a family to celebrate surviving the old year and greeting together the new.